Michael Malice here, and let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us a special returning guest, Dave Landau, co-host of the Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear me?
I can now.
We have a lot of hooligans in the studio today, and it's setting off my autism. They're all having a little... It's like a Duck Dynasty fan club. What is going on in there?
I believe that's a musician.
Is it? All right. I don't know how I feel about this, except
he's
negatively.
a rock star fella.
Is it?
Yeah, for real.
Is it like Eminem?
No.
Okay.
Rock.
Like Eminem. He's from Detroit.
He's from Detroit, yes. Yeah. Vegas is a bit mad at him right now, but yeah.
What do you mean?
He released a new album where he's the shooter inside the Mandalay Bay.
No, he didn't.
In the video, yeah.
No, he didn't.
He did.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I thought it was some decent trolling, but people are very upset about it.
Is it the video humorous?
Yes and not really, no.
But who is he shooting? Just innocent people?
Yes.
For no reason?
Well, it's more or less about gun laws.
Okay.
And people are like, you could have used your hometown of Detroit. And I'm like, yeah, but it's about registered weapons, which we don't have in our city.
Right.
They're usually murders with unregistered guns. So I think it was his way of talking about the violent gun epidemic by using himself as the shooter in the Mandalay Bay.
Won't that make shooting up people look cool? Because Eminem's cool?
I think he was cooler before, and the younger generation isn't as big of a fan.
Red Steez, who's one of the best follows on Twitter, Stephen Miller, one of his tweets, you know how sometimes someone has a tweet and you're like, holy crap, this is just so profound and so obvious and yet also so dumb?
Every day.
Yeah. Stephen Miller had a tweet. He goes, it's amazing to me that of all the people, I'm paraphrasing this, that have gone after Trump, the one person he's never hit back at is like Eminem. And
it's true.
And you know, Eminem is going fucking crazy and Trump's like,
I think that's the best way to deal with him, though, is completely ignore him. The same way that Eminem did to Nick Cannon.
What happened there?
Nick Cannon tried to, like, do a rap battle with him and get him on Wild and Out by trashing him, and Eminem's just like, you mad, bro? And that was it.
Is that it? Yeah.
Like,
good.
Just didn't need to acknowledge him further.
So, you have a new album.
I do.
What's it called?
Nimble Fingers.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the title?
Actually, a friend of mine came up with the title. She's sitting right out there. But she...
What a waste.
I know,
what
right?
A big mistake.
Just a total disaster. There's a line in my act where I talk about my son if I caught him smoking weed, because my friend asked me, like, what would you do if you caught your kid smoking weed?
How old's your son?
Exactly. I go, he's 4,
yeah.
So I'd be impressed.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what nimble fingers. You should make shoes and pay rent.
Yeah.
So it's just a quick throwaway line that I figured was a funny word, as opposed to calling it like Penis Master or something that wouldn't really sell.
Okay, but it hit #1.
First, like a week on Amazon and iTunes. It was pretty cool.
But I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see the day.
So who put it out?
Helium Records.
Are they they get all the comedians?
No, they're a comedy club chain, actually,
Okay.
that's pretty prestigious. And I recorded it originally in North Carolina, but then I just didn't like the audio as much, so I redid it in Philly, where there were more fans anyway of my show. So that's where I ended up doing it, was at Helium Comedy Club in Philly.
So if it's taped, let's suppose September, when's it released? Like, what was the window?
I did it pretty quick. I taped in November and then put it out in December 17th.
Wow.
Because I kind of just did everything I wanted to do all in one show.
Okay.
And then once I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's good. And then we just put it out, because it's kind of like a real club experience that way, as opposed to something that's edited and constantly.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I want people to hear the actual stream of thought that I had. So I did it that way.
I mean, how did you find out it hit #1? And how did it get to #1?
People bought it.
No, but I mean, like, #1's not an accident.
No, I honestly think just between the Compound fans and people that had seen me on stuff, enough people actually physically bought the album. And to hit those numbers on Amazon, that's like actual sales, not just downloads. So, I mean, there were thousands and thousands of downloads, but there were a ton of sales. And that's how it was able to hit that, is people actually did invest their money in buying the album. And it was all digital. I mean, they didn't have to.
That's something they're never going to be able to take away from you.
No, it's
Unlike
very
your
cool.
son.
No, I mean, well, that's Jesus Christ.
He's smoking weed at 4. I have CPS on speed dial.
He's never. No, he will. I'm sure at some point.
What?
Smoke weed.
Abandon you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually he's going to realize who I am and want nothing to do with me.
I thought you were Dave Smith.
Yeah. Isn't he the funny one on Legion of Skanks?
No, there is. Fun fact: there isn't the funny one.
Oh, is that true?
No, that's not true. They're all
know,
funny.
I'm kidding. Well, let's not go nuts.
No, they're.
I know, I'm kidding.
They're great.
I know, I love them. I love
for
doing their
Dave.
show.
So, what was your reaction when you found out it hit #1? How'd you find out? Were you just hitting refresh every 5 minutes?
No, I just Googled to see where I was standing and like on the charts. I'm like, those are things still, right?
Yeah.
So I looked and then I was #1 and then Billboard had reached out to me because I hit 26 on like all music on Billboard. So they reached out to me and were like, you're going to be on the charts this week. We need like all this information. So then I had to reach out to Helium and let them know.
Wait, I'm imagining social security number, mother's maiden name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he had a very Indian accent.
Yes.
I'm like, are you sure this is Billboard?
Oh yes, my
Yes,
friend. I am
yes,
very
yes.
sure.
I send you a copy.
That's amazing.
It was really cool. I'm very, very proud of it because my last album was released in 2013, and it was put out by a record company. It did okay, but I mean, I was still doing hard copy CDs for the most part then, and then before that was 2008. So I don't release albums that often. So I was really proud of it, and I wanted to make sure it was what I wanted it to be.
When you tour, do you have like little CDs for sale?
I used to. I don't anymore. Nobody wants to buy them. You can do download cards, but
Oh.
that's about it. Some people do want a physical copy,
Yeah.
but you could sell records or anything else because it's really just something with your autograph on it,
Right.
more than the actual listening capability.
Yeah. Okay, that's really really cool.
Yeah, I was very, very happy with it.
So people love drama,
They do.
and people love beefs.
Yes.
So I have a little beef with you.
What happened?
And I'll tell you right now. So one of the things on the Stern Show, I grew up on the Stern Show.
Yeah.
Is you knew if Stern actually wasn't angry, he'd do it publicly, right? Because it's funny.
Yeah.
And if he was really angry, it would be behind the scenes.
Okay.
So I thought we were good friends.
So did I.
And well, let's go by the data. You never hit me up to promote your album.
Honestly, it's because
You're on blast. Wait, hold on. I got to do this.
Honestly, I just was happy. Oh, look at that. It reminds me of being interrogated.
In Gitmo.
It really does. I assumed that because you had just had me on, you probably wouldn't be interested in having me back. I've seen my interviews.
Okay.
So I just assumed you didn't want anything to do with it, or I would have asked you. And you kind of intimidate me.
Why do I intimidate you?
You're very intelligent.
So's a lot of people.
Not this guy.
You're pretty damn smart.
No, I honestly just assumed that I had just been on, so you probably didn't want me back. And you're getting guests like Ethan Suplee, and you're doing
Twice.
Rogan. Yeah, so
4 times.
it was that his old self.
What?
Nothing. It's a fat joke because he's lost a lot of
No,
weight.
4 times Rogan, I was saying. 2
You
times
did
Ethan.
4 Rogan?
You've never been?
I've never been. My co-host went stag, unlike Mike Ward.
Oh, shit. Shade. Well, he was promoting his book.
That's true, as opposed to his operation.
What do you mean?
No, his compound.
Oh, yeah. I thought he
Yeah,
had
but
surgery.
I think we're attempting to get on, so we'll see. We'll see how.
Oh, you're trying to get on.
I think I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it actually, but I hopefully will have an appearance.
That would be really cool.
I would really like to because we've had Joe on our show, and I'm
Yeah.
a big fan, and it's really fun when you do it and the stuff you slide under the radar. So I enjoy it.
You're a comedian,
Yes.
obviously. So you are a huge fan as any... there's someone called... They call people like it was a comics comic where they're doing jokes for the other comics, not for the audience. And it's,
Neil Hamburger and yeah.
yeah. My favorite comedian is Neil Hamburger.
Yeah.
I'm glad when you watched that Rogan, were appreciating because I wasn't even trying to get them past the goalie, but I was, and I watched it again with my friends. I don't watch it by myself, and I'm like, there's all these lines that he's completely not picking up on.
Yeah, and then he picks it up like 3 lines later, and it was just fun to watch and be like, hey, what the fuck? And I think it's a bit with being high.
It could be. I don't. He didn't seem high to me, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
I just assume he's always high. I guess that's probably incorrect, but he's such a pot advocate that I assume he's usually at least eating some.
I don't think I'd know if someone was high who I was speaking to. If they were just stoned, if they're that functional.
You should have done my show for a while.
What do you mean?
We had a guy on, you could tell.
Who, Artie?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Jesus Christ. Well, he's got a new show now.
He's great.
And
It's really good.
We talked last time about how he kind of threw beef at you on Twitter.
Yeah.
And how this was kind of hurtful because he was a big hero of yours.
Yeah, still is.
And whatever. Has there been any progress since then?
Yeah, he came on my show.
Oh.
And Anthony wasn't there that day. So Artie and I had to have a very real conversation about addiction and where he was at.
Oh.
And yeah, it was really, really fucking cool, actually.
Well, tell me about it.
He really is just at a point where whatever it is behind the scenes, he's just done. He wants his addiction to be comedy. But part of what it is you have hookers blowing meth off your cock in a hotel room in Vegas while soccer moms are telling him he should get his shit together and live a real life. He enjoys being fucked up. He enjoys being a disaster. He enjoys partying.
I gotta tell you, hookers doing crystal meth off my dick in a hotel in Vegas does not sound like fun.
It depends on the person.
Sure, for me, this is really seedy and not good seedy.
I like a good game of poker.
Sure, okay.
Backgammon.
You poker and then
In the back,
Yeah.
liquor in the front.
Yeah.
No, but he seems to be on the right track, so it was really cool to actually talk to him and see where he's at, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think he's a genuine addict in the sense that he loves the feeling. He loves the party. And that is a large part of it. I mean, that's how I was as well, I really do. I can't pretend that everything that happened to me while I was fucked up was some kind of disaster.
Sure.
I mean, most of it was a really good time. And he and I kind of connected on that. Is that even what people would consider your bottom or your shittiest moments was a lot of fun for some people. Especially for us when you're trying to erase whatever you're trying to hide, whatever is behind you. You know, whatever you're trying to deaden inside.
You are an addict. You've known many addicts through recovery.
Yes.
So you're going to be picking up things that those of us who aren't addicts and alcoholics are oblivious to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So when you were talking to him, do you think he was being sincere or do you think he's bullshitting himself?
I think there's a large part of every addict that is sincere. I think that most people want to stop, fix their life, and not keep going through the hell that they're in. Unfortunately, I think there's two people inside of your head at all times.
Sure.
So it just depends on who's talking. In that moment, yeah, I think he is. And I think a lot of times he's sincere. But yeah, there's a lot of times you're just going to have to bullshit to get through the day. And addicts are liars.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. Especially if you're hiding an addiction, that's when you're at your worst because you're trying to convince the world you're fine. So there's always going to be, especially anybody who's newly in recovery, I'm going to have a bit of skepticism towards them no matter what. And that's not anything against them or their character. It's just the addicted mind.
What's that nose look like in real life?
Like
Bert?
remember when Griswold punched Marty Moose?
The hell were these words? What? Who?
When Clark Griswold punched Marty Moose in Vacation?
Oh, I don't. Oh, no, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that movie?
I don't remember that movie.
I would say it just looks not good.
Okay.
But I think the fact that he's leaving it as a reminder.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, to not do it because he's had offers to fix it.
I didn't think. I thought it wasn't fixable.
No, it is fixable. They actually, one of the guys on Botch said that they would fix his nose, but he wants to keep it for now because it's a reminder not to do it.
Or maybe at this point it's so painful to do it.
It could be. But what he thinks is he's keeping it that way.
I was under the impression that when you're what's that called? The septum.
Yes.
When it's so destroyed.
Yeah, your
right?
deviated septum.
Yeah. That when you are doing blow or snorting blow, it's basically like snorting glass in that it like cuts you up and it's extremely painful.
Right. Well, he did snort glass, I think. I could be wrong. But there was actually, I don't know. But it is extremely painful.
Yeah.
I was addicted to cocaine and I never had a deviated septum, fortunately. I never blew a hole in my nose. I knew a lot of people that did.
A deviated septum is genetic. I had a deviated septum.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it means it's like, it's not centered. So
that I knew, yeah. Right. But can't you form one as well?
Is that true?
I don't know. I thought you could.
I didn't think it could move. I know you could wear it down.
Because I know you can blow a hole in your nose by overuse.
Yeah.
I knew a club owner who had a hole in his nose from all the years of cocaine
Like on
abuse.
the outside?
Yeah.
No.
I swear to God. Yeah, because he had a hole in his face, and I asked this one comic, this is like 15 years ago, it's like, why does he have that hole in his face? And he's like, well, because he just did nothing but coke in the 80s, and that's the result.
Ooh, I don't like that at all.
It was no good.
No bueno.
It was not.
Maybe the coke was good.
Well, you bet it. He got it fixed later, but they still had to pinch it up, so it was like that.
So he's all skeptical.
Yeah, so just it didn't look better. It just, there wasn't a hole. He still had half a pig nose.
Was coke your drug of choice?
Coke was, yes, eventually, but it was to stay up and drink alcohol.
Okay.
But my drugs of choice were really hallucinogenics, and that sort of thing. Those were my favorite things to do. So it's hard to be an addict of that. That was just my adventure.
Are you?
But alcohol was by far my drug of choice.
Are you allowed? Because hallucinogenics are very different from coke, very different from heroin, very different from alcohol, right? But I would say hallucinogenics would be like here, and coke, alcohol, and heroin are here, right? Like those three are much more
under the table,
much more addictive.
Yes.
Much more party.
Well, they're completely addictive in a completely different
way, and much more will screw up your life and your family, right? Is it possible for someone to stick to the hallucinogens and be like, I'm not doing these other things?
I'm sure it is. I mean, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. It would be hard for me because cigarettes and weed and everything was such a part of doing that. So I think it would be possible because it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as shooting heroin. It's not the same thing as the opioid epidemic. There's never been an acid epidemic. There's never been a mushroom epidemic. You know, they're very, very casual, and that's because they are to a degree a terrifying experience where the other one is relaxation, euphoria. Yeah. It's problem solving, where the other one is almost creating an entire world of problems and just psychotic shit. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, it's two very different animals. So I think it would be possible. I just wouldn't try it because I abused it so bad.
Can you tell me, bonus material,
yes,
a joke that didn't make your album?
I can. I'm not great with race jokes on stage.
Okay.
So one is I was shopping for mahogany cards, which is I was shopping for a birthday card. And I saw mahogany cards, which is cards for African Americans.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know they had their own cards. And they had everything like, you know, Christmas, birthday, and they were sold out. Well, except for Father's Day. That one was pretty full.
Do you know why they're called mahogany?
The color?
It's the Diana Ross movie. It was like her big movie.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. How do you know if you've got good acid or bad acid?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think it just depends on your trip. I think it depends on what mindset you're in. I mean, the only way I would say is depending on how much it affected you and how many you had to take. Like when I used to sell sugar cubes, I would know it was good acid usually because I'd spill some on my hands and be like, well, here comes the next 12 hours that I didn't want to do when I'm trying to sell somebody.
Why didn't you just wear gloves?
I was a fucking stoner who was 17, 16, so I just...
Okay.
I wasn't a scientist. In fact, I was failing science and attending high school for 5 years, including summer school.
Yeah, but even housewives know to wear those gloves. Would know what this is.
Yeah, but they're older.
Oh, okay.
More seasoned.
I had Handsome Dick Manitoba here from the Dictators.
Okay.
Legendary punk band. He runs Manitoba's on Avenue B, or it's on B or C. And he was telling this story about how one time he was at CB's with some girl and how he was in the throes of addiction.
That was like the place, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I think that may be the place for the normies. Then there were there's Max's and some other peripheral places.
The more underground.
Yeah. And he talked about how this was like his lowest moment. This is in late 70s. He took to draw the needle for the heroin toilet from the CBGB's toilet bowl. Oh. You know, to do the heroin. And I go, why didn't you take it from the toilet tank? And he just looked at me and he realized for 40 years he had never considered the possibility. that he didn't really have to take it from the toilet, but could have taken it from the clean waters. And he just, it was like
Did
someone,
he look at you with yellow eyes?
he just paused. Like it was as if someone put a pause on him and he's just sitting in that chair, just staring at me. And you could see the wheels turning. It was this amazing.
Yeah, because in the moment of drug abuse, you're not thinking clearly. You're like, how do I get that in here?
Yeah, there's water. I need water.
Right?
Yeah. This hidden secret water.
It's safety second, third sometimes, you know? That's hilarious, though.
Yeah, it was a really, like, there's very few times when I've, like, broken someone's brain, and that was one of them, and I treasure it.
No, I've thought years later, I could have worn gloves.
Yeah.
Definitely that's popped into my head, but I just didn't at the time. And sugar cubes were really more popular towards the end of my acid experience.
Okay.
We would always buy sheets. So when I started, it was always sheets of acid.
Yeah.
And just cutting it up, dividing it with my friends, and we would take it every other day and just trip through school and that sort of stuff.
Where would you get the liquid acid to put on sugar cubes?
Just friends, different people that I knew. Usually they were older, like in their 30s, and somebody had a connection, and we'd go and meet them at like a house in Detroit.
Do you know where they're getting it from?
No.
Okay.
No, he could have made it in his fucking bathtub. It could have killed us. I have no idea.
Yeah, like, is acid easy to make?
I don't assume so. I've never tried.
Okay.
I tried shrooms once to grow, and I was like, I'm probably just going to go blind and die, and I just threw the thing away.
How'd you try to do it?
I tried to grow them inside of an aquarium,
Yeah.
and that was, it just didn't.
What do you put in the aquarium?
At the time, we used, I don't even remember what we put at the bottom of it, because people said it comes from cow shit.
Yeah.
So you buy this, like, God, I don't even remember what it was. We had lights. We had some kind of version of that at the bottom, and then you had to feed it a certain way. My friend Mike did most of it, and then it grew out, but we didn't end up taking them.
But so they actually grew.
Somewhat.
Okay.
But I didn't want to try, because if you do it wrong, you're going to poison yourself and die.
Is that true?
I think so. It is a poison, psilocybin.
I think at extreme doses.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know if you're not, again, I went to high school for 5 years. My lab technician science skills were not exactly off the charts.
Okay.
I'm sure I could easily kill myself.
Okay. Well, I'm
with
glad you
very
haven't.
little.
I'm glad you haven't.
Yeah, so it was just easier to buy. We bought it from one kid. His name was Rorkin. I just will say that.
Rorkin.
And he was in his mid-30s, and he was a guy who always had acid and an acid connection, and then eventually was an LSD connection.
Wait, acid is LSD. What do you mean?
Or a mushroom connection and ecstasy.
Did you ever go to school high?
Fuck yeah.
What's that like?
I used to get high in school.
What's that like? How are you not looking at that teacher and cracking yourself
What's funny
up?
is I went high every day.
On acid?
Oh, I went like every other day for years. Yeah, my friends and I would split it and then take it during school.
What, like a full tab each?
Oh, more than.
How are you handling it?
You're kind of not, which is what's making it exciting.
Okay.
So you go to the class, the teacher's face kind of appears to be melting. You're seeing like the spiral tracers. And yeah, we would take it all the time and trip in school. And it would depend on how bad it got. One time I do remember walking around and I was just, completely saucer-eyed. And my friends were coming up to me like, dude, get the fuck out of school right now. You have to leave right now. So it was always an exciting thing. But we got to the point where we would smoke pot in class. Like we had a computer lab where I would sit there, and one time I was hitting the bowl, and I put it down, and the computer teacher walked up right behind me and started talking to me. So I just was holding it in while she was asking me questions, and I'm just nodding like, and then finally she walks away, and I just started coughing, and I held it in so long, it just zero-toked, so like nothing came out. It was just like inside of me. And people were coming up like, did you smell pot in the class? I'm like, yeah, I was smoking it. And we had library studies was one. My friend Ryan and G had it. So I would go and meet them in library studies, and we would take turns going to like the farthest point of the library and just hiding back there and smoking a bowl.
I'm sorry. I can't get over the idea of being trapped in a school on acid every other day, and some bitch teacher is trying to talk at me.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there trying to hold it together. And I'm sure at some points, because even when you're sober, you don't want to be in that room.
No.
And now when you're at high, you want to be exploring. You want to like not be trapped in there.
Usually it would be a lot of exploring though, because I rarely went to class anyway.
Oh.
So I would be out we would go to dope streets. We would go hang out. Sometimes we would go to a bar because there was a bar called City Limits. You could drink at any age. Another one was the Golden Buddha. Like, we would go hang out and party during class, but every now and then I would actually go to class and just kind of sit there. If a bunch of my friends were in the class and they were also tripping, that made it really fun too.
But I'm just imagining the nightmare of getting a pop quiz when you're on acid and just being filled with existential terror.
Well, because I did take a few quizzes on acid, and I do remember the answers being very interesting because they were certainly outside the box.
But wasn't there? That's okay. Maybe you and I.
I'm thinking back, and I'm really like remembering how much fun it was.
Okay, you and I obviously had very different educational experiences, to say the least. I'm just imagining how I would think if you are on acid and you get a pop quiz or a quiz that you knew was coming, now mentally you're going to have this kind of panic attack because you have to do well on it, but you don't have the capacity to do well on it.
That's the difference, though. I don't have to do well on it because I don't care. So as long as I can fill out A, B, C, A, B, whatever on the Scantron to look like I did it, we're good.
Oh, that was fine.
I didn't give a fuck if I passed. No. I was expelled from several schools. They actually started a community school program where they would bus the bad kids to for the first couple hours of school. So they weren't they were all at one school together confined in one room. So we would go there and they pretty much just were like, just try to do something in the next 4 hours. And we would usually just be outside drinking in my car, listening to like Stern on the radio, smoking weed. And then we would come in and like go onto web crawler.
I feel like if I talk to you long enough, one of your eyes is just going to start shifting away.
It could. This one?
One of them.
Yeah.
Just the acid. It's still in you.
Well, one of them is definitely like when I would get really drunk, would get a little lazy.
No, it wouldn't.
I swear to God.
What's that like visually when your eyes are in two different directions?
People knew that the dick would kind of come out when
literally or figuratively?
No. Well, it would depend. But one eye would like move just slightly, and that's when I would get real mouthy with people, and they said they would want to be on my good side.
Can you tell me, bonus material,
yes,
a joke that didn't make your album?
Okay, the one was, do you like impressions? Here's my impression of a 16-year-old Asian kid after being told by his parents he's adopted. Yeah, I know. Mom's white and you're black, Dad. I didn't think when you fucked that made Asian.
That makes Mexican.
I know. I know that now.
Hey guys, Michael Malice here. I want to tell you about Real Paper. REEL. If you go to realpaper.com, REEL paper.com, and use code Malice, you get 20% off a single purchase or $10 off your first subscription box. And you know what? Free shipping on every order. What's Real? It's incredibly soft, 3-ply toilet paper delivered straight to your door. Soft, durable, and it's made out of sustainable bamboo, so no trees are getting knocked down, so you can wipe your butt. You know what the worst part is of going to the bathroom outside your house? That terrible toilet paper. Real changes that. They deliver it straight to your door at your convenience. You could bring a few rolls with you to work and turn the office bathroom into your personal retreat. For every roll of toilet paper you buy, Real helps people in need get access to clean toilets. 2.4 billion don't have access to a safe toilet. Real wants to bring that number down to 0, and you can help just by wiping your butt. If you go to realpaper.com, REEL paper.com, and use code Malice, 20% off a single purchase or $10 off your first subscription box. And you know what? It's free shipping. Try it out. You have the coolest toilet paper in town. And let's get back to my shitty show. We've got a normie in the chat room.
Sure.
Who's spewing normie speak. He says, oh, that's Nate. He says, the accepted wisdom is that anything profound you experience, you're too high to remember and integrate anyway. Is that true?
That's on a heroic dose of acid, not on a normal dose.
Oh, okay. Is that true? Have you ever taken a heroic dose?
Well, what would you define as that? It depends on what your definition is.
Isn't it 4 tabs?
Anything above 400 micrograms.
Okay. That's 4 tabs, right?
It depends, but yeah.
Have you
Depends on the sheet, but usually.
Yeah. What was the most profound thing that you've ever thought or kept with you on acid?
I think it's probably that you can identify who your true friends are at some moment when you're at a certain different level of playing in the universe. You can kind of see what's love and what's hate, and you can kind of see the difference in good and bad people, is what I thought.
We've got another question from the chat room. Have you ever been dropped by your CO in school when you were high?
CO.
Corrections officer?
Corrections officer? I didn't have a corrections officer.
I don't. This is a joke. It's a Canadian joke apparently.
Oh, did they have a CO?
I don't know where he's going with this.
We had guys in the parking lot who were, what I guess you'd call them glorified hall monitors, parking lot monitors, and one guy had N-word killer tattooed on his arm, and he actually used to sell us pills.
Please tell me it said literally N-word killer.
No, I wish it did.
Okay.
No, it was the real word. And he would sell us
Was he
pills.
Black or white?
He's white.
Okay. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, well, I assume when he got hired for the position, he had full sleeves on that day.
Or you don't know that.
And then we had another guy who dressed like Rambo, and his name was Brick. I swear to God, he would show up in a beret. I think he was a non-vet with PTSD, but I think he thinks he was a non-vet with PTSD because his age didn't quite match up.
Right.
And we used to just shake up soda cans and loft them into his car.
I've only done it once, acid, and it was sold to me by Scarlett Johansson's brother, who I was friends with, went to high school with.
Did you know Scarlett?
I met her a couple times. She was a kid, yeah.
Okay.
Very effusive. She had a gecko.
She seems like that.
Yeah, and that was the day my college roommate, Tom, was initiated into his fraternity. So they took him away. So
Really?
now I'm on acid. I would never even smoked weed before, I don't think. And I'm on the Bucknell campus, tripping face, don't know what to do. Thankfully, I had the presence of mind to go to the computer lab and just surf the web, because that'll keep me kind of grounded.
Oh, I'll keep you, looking at something.
Well, I instead of being wandering around freaking out, the cold,
and worrying that everybody knows.
Yes,
and
yes.
Especially if you're having a bad trip.
And I sent him an email, which I still have, that said, in my acid madness, I thought it would be a good idea to either email you or go online. It was not. And then in all caps, I'm on acid, ACXID, because the letters are next to each other with a lot of exclamation points. I still have the email. And I've never done it since. It was not for me.
But it can be a
it's so
terrifying
long.
experience, and you were also alone?
No, well, I mean, I was alone for maybe a quarter of it.
That's still bad, though. I mean, you kind of want to be around like-minded people.
The thing I hated about it is that after like 2 hours, it was like, I get it.
But yeah, and then there's 6 more to go,
And
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky and you don't have a concept of time, and your brain's telling you, well, you've been on this forever, so it's going to be forever that you're on it again, and it's just like, oh God. And it's exhausting. That's why I call it a trip.
Well, exactly. And the level of hallucination is not really, people try to pretend that it's something much different than it is. I mean, it's a lot of spirals, tracers, body buzz. It's just comes down to your own paranoia and how you take the trip. And if you're surrounded by people that like care about each other, you're going to have a good time, and you're kind of just going to laugh at everything because you sort of have a sense that everything is stupid, and you just sort of laugh at the entire world. And that's something that I always enjoyed about acid, is just everything seemed like bullshit, and I just wanted to laugh at stuff.
No, it seemed very serious and severe. And I remember walking around.
I think that's what made it funny, though.
Not in my case. We were walking around Lewisburg. I'll never forget this. And a car drove by, and it was covered. This is central Pennsylvania. It was covered in seashells. And I go, Tom, he goes, no, that's real. Because it was so, you know how things look a certain way in acid, and then things look like a heightened version. And I'm like, that doesn't look like the acid talking.
It can look that way when you're driving too long.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you have that, and you
So
start seeing
he's like,
things.
no, it's real. And then we walked by a church, and the windows were all glowing, and you could hear singing inside, which was not really there. And I told him, Tom, they killed a Jewish girl there in that church. And he goes, come on, that was a long time ago. I go, it was yesterday. I think he even said hung. This is doesn't make any sense. It was yesterday.
It just happened.
It just happened.
I saw it.
I applauded. I'm the one who chose her. Oh my
I think
God.
you had a bad experience at a young age, though.
I mean, there's lots of stuff I remember. Like, for example, I started eating cheese doodles at the beginning of the night, and for the whole,
Surprised you had an appetite.
well, at the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
and then the whole night I felt the cheese on my fingers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or
for
like
sure.
we're walking by a bush, and like one little branch just swacked me, and I kept feeling that the whole night.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, well, you're saying of course, but like after 3 hours of this, it's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's certainly a tedious experience,
Yes,
to say
that's
the
it
least.
is.
And it depends on how bad it is. I mean, I remember one time we were just sitting in a field behind somebody's house by a river because we just didn't want to keep driving around. And I was honestly taking a stick and hitting it up against a tree because I wanted to turn it into a canoe so I could go down the river and find a 7-Eleven to get Kleenex because my nose was itchy. And nobody stopped me. They were like, just let him do it. And I remember that vividly because that was my honest thought in my brain was like, this will be a canoe. I just have to be patient, one with nature.
My biggest mistake, and this, if someone's going to use acid, which I don't advise, don't do this. I was trying to analyze what was happening as it was going along.
Oh, well,
That's the biggest mistake.
are you really like mildly autistic?
I
Or
know,
do you just
severely.
joke around? Okay. So, yeah, I can see acid being terrible for you. I just would never take it with your brain. My friend Matt has autism, and same thing. I would never suggest it to him.
The comedian.
Yeah, you met him like a week ago.
I had a very awkward moment with him. I imagine every moment with him is awkward.
It's fine. He's socially awkward.
Oh, I don't care. He's not blue check. So we were in the hallway, and it was you and this guy, Matt. What's his name?
Should be McClowry.
Matt McClowry. And he's like, oh, Michael Malice. Like, he's all spurting out and just really being all weird. And I just figured he's one of the many like libertarians who find me interesting. And I go, oh, it's okay. I have autism too. And I thought it was
Yeah.
a joke, but he actually has full blown autism.
Correct.
Yeah.
He didn't take it as offensive.
Well, I don't care.
He just assumed.
He just assumed we're kindred spirits.
Yes.
Then we started
He's a
counting numbers.
fan of yours, so he's like, yeah, I know.
Then we started counting numbers together.
Exactly. And you guys got to 1,000,003, and then we had to start the show.
Wait, so how close are you with him?
He's one of my best friends.
So how has his autism manifested when you talk to him?
Extremely well. From the time that I met him, because I met him in comedy. So I met him 15 years ago because we started around the same time. He could barely, I mean, he still can't make eye contact, and frankly, you don't really want him to.
Right.
But at the time, he could barely speak to anyone. He was very antisocial, very introverted, always looking down. And now he's a pretty social guy. I mean, he's just kind of gotten through it. You know, he's gotten over performance anxiety. He's gotten over everything. So
How is it someone with autism going to decide to be a comedian?
I have no idea. I think it's because you guys have that like thing that you're totally obsessed about, and that was his. I mean, he couldn't be a Ninja Turtle, he couldn't be a pro wrestler, so he could be a comedian. So
Could
those
he?
were the three things.
But I mean-
he's a killer. I mean, not like not like at a college. I just mean like on stage. I don't mean like
How
for
would
real.
someone with autism know what humor is?
He's funny as hell.
But that's not what I asked you.
I don't know. I don't have your goof brain.
Has he? Goofballs. Okay, Mr. Swiss cheese. If they did a C scan on you, it'd be like looking to space.
I'm sure
There's
it
just a
would.
few little sparks and
I'd
it's all
probably look like
void.
I had CTE just from the drugs I've taken. They'd be like, I'm surprised you haven't beheaded a waiter.
Wait a minute. So, I mean, does he have dates?
Oh, yeah.
How does he hit? Like, tell me the process.
Well, usually I give them to him because he works with me.
Really?
But yeah, he tours everywhere.
I meant girls.
Oh, he's married. I just married him
married?
to his wife in Disney World.
Is she autistic?
No. Very intelligent.
Okay.
Very, very intelligent, actually.
A little too intelligent.
And doesn't give a shit about who she is. Like, she's somebody who's extremely intelligent, and she also loves Disney.
Okay.
So she's quirky, but
That's, likes Disney and quirky? Not the same. It's kind of the opposite. That sounds
guess.
basic as fuck.
No, she's not.
Well,
no, she's very
Disney?
intelligent. I think that's her basic side because everything else is definitely more complicated.
Okay, what's complicated mean? That's a big
Intelligent?
word. You're dancing around something.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, she's just very nice. She's very tolerant of what he is.
I have a good buddy who's coach.
She's germophobic, and watching him eat in my car is upsetting. That I no
Okay.
longer allow him to eat in my car.
Wait,
It's a mess, Mike.
my friend has a coach who's bad with eye contact.
Yeah.
How do you get over talking to someone who won't look you in the eye?
Oh, I'm insecure. I haven't looked people in the eye in a long time.
Is that true?
No. I mean, to a degree, but I just realized that was him. The
Okay.
first time I went on the road with him, we're driving, and every 5 minutes, Red Roof Inn, Hungry Howie's. I'm like, you gonna read every fucking sign we pass? What the hell's wrong with you?
I have autism.
So yeah, and it's just I'm used to it.
Does he have echolalia?
I don't know what that is.
Echolalia is when they, under their breath, repeat the last words of what you just said.
To a degree, when he was young, but I don't hear it lately. I haven't heard it from him lately.
Okay.
But he's also he's big into fitness.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, they're because then you could just, it's very numbers oriented.
Yeah, oh, that's why he's good at it. I mean, he's a ripped dude.
More power to him.
Yo, yeah, retard strength. It's like 10 apes.
And no remorse. You'll be screaming, stop, stop, and all they'll hear is who wants cake. Let me tell you, they all do. They all want
Trust me,
cake.
you touch his ears, you might as well just buy yourself a plot.
Have you ever seen him spurg out completely?
No. Well,
Oh, there it is. I knew it.
a couple times.
Ah,
a couple
give me the
times.
goo, Jimmy.
I have seen him get so angry that I have had to calm him down a
Okay,
bit.
tard rage.
Yeah, but only once or twice maybe, and usually it was at a girl. After
Wait, I
she
gotta get
left.
him in here.
You really would love him.
Oh my god.
He's honestly one of the funniest people.
This will be okay. I have to get him on here. He's in New York.
He is right now. Yeah, for the next couple months.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I've had him on. I think you would love him.
I at the very least, I'm going to have fun. Look, he's going to either have fun with me or for me. Like that's my motto with everyone.
I think you both are going to click pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're like-minded people.
My
Autistic.
literally like mine. My goal is going to see if I can set him off.
I don't know if you want to do that.
I think I do.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get you not to.
I think I do, and I think I'm gonna actually put the homework in to figure out what bothers them. Maybe it's like shiny things.
No, I don't think he's against shiny things.
Maybe he's really into shiny things. I feel like there's a magpie aspect going on.
I don't know if he's that. He's not that simple.
I think there's a lot of. I think it's a really multifaceted abomination against nature. Like there's a lot going on there. It's not just like they can't read facial cues.
Oh, I know there's more to that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what bothers him, and I can't really think of it other than terrible comedians
Okay.
and people with absolutely no morals.
How is he with? Does he stand too close or too far?
I would say too far.
Okay.
Sometimes too close to me, which is interesting because he and I next to each other look like Edward Furlong and Arnold Schwarzenegger in T2.
He's not. Is he that big?
I mean, not really, but he's at least a head taller than me,
Okay,
which
yeah,
isn't saying that much.
I was thinking more like twins.
Well, not too shabby. Not too far off. I have hair. That'd be the difference. Same
Okay,
body.
we're gonna book him on the show.
You really would enjoy him.
Yeah.
I promise. And he's very funny and a very good guy.
Yeah. This will be great.
It's hard because I can't answer it for him because I don't know what he goes through. Like I've tried asking him, but we just talk about anything and everything. But I can't explain his brain.
Well, I don't know if he can either.
I don't think he can.
He doesn't have empathy. That's the problem. They don't understand other people's perspectives. That's the basic definition of autism.
I think he does though.
Okay, we'll find out. You could come.
I don't know if he has sympathy.
No, I don't think they can't understand. Like, for example, the whole thing is this the classic example. If the wife tells you, does this dress make me look fat? They'll say yes. And then when she's crying, he doesn't understand.
Oh, yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's a complete lack of empathy. They don't understand other perspectives. They don't understand why you would want them to lie. And in their defense, it makes sense.
Right, I get that, sure. Yeah. That's actually why I really like having him as a friend, because I like people to be honest with me.
Not that honest.
No, if I write a joke or ask him about something or we're talking, I want somebody to be brutally honest, and he always has been. That's what I love about him. He's never full of shit.
Does he have
What you see is what you get.
Does he have any affect?
He'll mumble.
Okay.
to get sometimes out of a sentence, or he'll get really frustrated and be like, that's sort of.
This is, I feel like 2020, I'm going to get into a lot more bullying of the guests. This is really, I think, my core
I don't know if you want to
competency.
bully him, though.
I think
He's
I
a
do.
good guy.
Yeah, that means weak.
No, he's not.
I mean, psychologically.
I don't think he's psychologically weak.
Okay, well, we'll find out.
I mean, he talks about it in his act. I mean, he has a great joke where he said colleges were reaching out for him to perform. And he's like, you realize I'm not like the fun, happy-go-lucky kind of special needs person. I'm the school shooter kind of special needs person. You don't want to be like Saturday night show, Matt McLaury, Sunday, candlelight vigil.
That's superb.
Oh, he's brilliant. I'm telling you. He's fully aware of what he is.
The one joke I had planned for Rogan, which I did not get to use, and I will reveal here now, is we were going to talk about how, I don't know if you saw this, during the holiday season, people who were like former FBI, prominent journalists were tweeting like limericks about Trump and like the 12 Days of Christmas, but like with Trump lyrics.
Yeah.
And verses, and you're looking at this and you're like, and I was going to say, Trump has not only reduced these people to like fourth graders, he's reduced them to the fourth graders who are in the class with the wheelchair kids.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like, holy.
Legs that don't work, dragging yourself on the carpet with your hands.
Something's not right there. That para is not going to get you to normal.
No paste. They think it's milk.
Oh my God. Yeah. They think it's milk. Yogurt. So this is a stupid question, but I have to ask. Are you already planning your next album?
Yes.
Okay. How often would you like to be released them? Annually?
No, every few years.
Okay.
I really like to take my time with them. I really, really do. In my next album, I kind of want to be a one-man show because I wanted to talk more about everything that I went through in my life. And I touched on it a lot on this album. I have stories about high school, being confined in a mental hospital, rehab, coke addiction. They're all on my new album, while it's also a lot of one-liners and different stuff that I've thrown in, but I've included stories. And I kind of do want to put out a book and a story, or a book and an album that are all those stories put together.
Okay.
And even some of the stories I've written in my book, I have to go back and ask people, hey, is this okay? Just out of respect because of some of the things that happened. But I really do want to try to get to a deeper level with my next album, and that's going to take a little bit of time.
Has the company been just giddy with their sales?
They've been very happy. I got an email from them saying that the sales amount was unheard of for a
very failed comedian.
Yeah, basically. I mean, without a name.
Yeah.
They're like, aren't you behind a paywall with that racist?
With that Klansman.
They're like, hey guys, the pedo sympathizer sales are through the roof.
Yeah, if you play the album backwards, there's plenty of CP.
Yeah, it's just a set of bells going to Michael Jackson's room. They were really, really happy with it. And I'm lucky because I've been touring for so long that I performed in front of so many people. And a lot of people have stayed my fans that when I put it out, it was really cool to see how many people bought it and have messaged me since and really enjoyed it. You know, that's the benefit of like, I wasn't in New York. I was in LA briefly, but I was just touring the country, meeting people, giving people my card, doing shows everywhere, every night I could, you know, and over time you just sort of build up a fan base.
Were you on that thread when that guy tried to kill himself unless we reached out to him?
No.
On Twitter?
No.
I think you were, okay, because
Was I?
I think you might have been, but you probably weren't on Twitter at that time.
Okay.
There was a guy named Based in America, and he's like, I got a gun. Today's the worst day of my life. I'm really drunk. I'm going to do it. Can like one of you guys reach out? He tagged me, Gino, Aaron, who host
Maybe
in Hot Water.
He did reach
I
out.
could have sworn he tagged you. And I, retweeted it. I go, listen, call the suicide hotline right now. I promise you. What do you got to lose? Just call him. It'll make you feel better.
I was in that thread. I do.
And then he goes, Michael, thank you so much. It means so much that you care. And I wrote, care is a big word. Just call the number. And they pulled his account. And I never got to know if based in America means he's located in America or he's based and also in America. So I don't have that closure. But he called in Hot Water, and he's doing okay.
Good.
what I'm leading up to is last time you were on, you were talking about how there was a lot of hate for you online.
Yes.
Is that something that has lessened with the success of the album?
It has. I mean, the people that have bought the album, I think, were already fans.
Sure.
And there's really nothing you can
now,
do.
And now no longer.
No.
God, what is this shit?
The angry emails. I don't know how they got my phone number. I mean, I'm telling you, they're outside my house. It's like I'm Hannity. The people that are going to hate you are going to hate you. It doesn't matter if you put out a quality album. They already have that, predisposition of you suck, you're the worst, I'm angry at my life, and I'm going to project that onto you. And sadly, over the last 2 years, I used to take it seriously, and now I just don't care. To be honest, I don't have enough respect for mankind as it is at this point in my life, let alone those people.
Right.
Like, it used to hurt because I had never been part of this radio world before. I didn't realize the diehard fans, the people that want Opie and Anthony and Jimmy together so fucking bad because it meant everything to them, which is just fucking pathetic. It's a goddamn radio show. Who gives a shit?
I'll defend them. I think for them, and I learned this from doing Rogan 4 times. For them,
have you been on it?
Yeah.
More than once?
You never been? It's the new Milan.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the new Bohemian Grove. For them, it's a hang.
Yes.
This is their virtual friendship circle.
Yes.
So when their pals aren't pals anymore, there's a sense of emptiness, and you can understand that.
Yes. But when you are the collateral damage of that,
sure,
you don't give a shit. And
of course.
At first I did, because what they don't understand is I was an Opie and Anthony fan. And I really did enjoy everything that they were, but I never even knew what the pests were. I just heard them talk about them. I just assumed it was what they called their fans.
Right.
That was it. I didn't realize that these were actual people, that they had pretty much built this army of people to just attack,
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought they were just the fans.
No, I mean, they had people that were, don't call up this place and shit all over them. They built up that. And I mean, you kind of reap what you sow. I hate to fucking say it.
Yeah.
The problem is other people get dragged down into that who had nothing to do with it. And now I've just learned, like, I guess this is part of it. So every day I get to get random stupid emails like, are you 5'2"? Like, yeah, I'm short, man. You got it.
Yeah.
You really, what do you want?
That's weird.
It's so bizarre. Like, it's not, I wouldn't care so much too if it wasn't just like high school nerdy little, like, just fucking socially empty fat fucks with nothing better to do.
These are your people. They should be.
They're my fans. Yeah. Well, some are my fans and some are my haters.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm just, it's so exhausting to think that somebody would spend 2 years focusing on someone who they supposedly hate. That's not hate. That's obsession.
Yeah.
Which is love and also hate. But obsession is not, and focusing every day, every minute of your life on something is psychotic. And I feel bad that anybody would have to go through life and live, life like that. It bothered me at first, but then you have to look at where it's coming from.
Can you tell me, bonus material,
Yes.
a joke that didn't make your album?
It's definitely a street joke, because you don't want to put those out there, which is, why did Paul Walker cross the street? Because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt.
All right. I'm a very prolific blocker on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to cultivate your audience and make it a safe space for them, and just.
And I love my audience, so I talk to my fans. and people say don't do that, but these are people too.
I definitely make it a point to talk down to my fans.
Oh yeah, I don't talk with them.
Yeah. But you're not even verified, so this is kind of irrelevant.
I'm not
to you.
verified because of who my co-host is. Let's be honest.
You think that's why?
No.
Okay. Because of who your host is. You're the co-host.
It's because of who I am.
That's because of who I am.
I tried to get verified during last comic, and I think I came close, and then that was then it just didn't happen. I think I tweeted something and then got suspended, and I know I'd never been suspended, but then it just went away.
It was
quick.
funny because someone yesterday tweeted out, some of you aren't following Michael Malice, and it shows. And one of the replies was, well, he's blocked so many of us, I'm surprised he has anyone to follow him. And I thought, yeah, that's why you're blocked, because you think everyone thinks like you, and the data shows otherwise, because the numbers keep going up in the followers. So clearly, you're not in touch with the reality of the situation here. And you
Right.
never will be.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me how many people, like your comic buddy who can't help it, have low empathy. They just do not, they unable or uninterested to understand other perspectives.
And the truth is I have sort of a high empathy. I have a high empathy and I have a high sympathy for people. And I think that comes from sensitivity, being addicted, being through certain things that I've been through in my life. Like my goal was never to hurt people. My goal is never to do a show on even Compound Media and Anthony are joking and have it be taken with any degree of seriousness. So the fact that anybody behaves like that, to where their anger is constantly being pushed towards me, it was very bizarre and hard to handle at first, especially when it's, your heroes and it's not just people online.
Sure.
But after a while, it's like I just had to do the same thing when I got recovered, which is realize this is my life. I have no control over what anybody does but me. I can only behave, the way that I need to behave and do the shit that I need to do. And the rest of it is just fucking noise.
Make the line from, I think it's from Recovery, make sure your side of the street is clean.
Exactly. That's all you can do.
All you can do.
And for a while, I did get obsessed because I suffered depression and I suffer suicidal thoughts, and I've had that in my family. So I get to a point where I don't want to be like that anymore. I have a son. I have responsibility. I have somebody, in my life to go home to.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that. So when I open my eyes and I just see more sympathy for these people than anger, I can get through my day. They can hate me all they want, but they really just hate themselves.
You've had a lot of big names coming through the Anthony Cumia show recently.
Yes.
Who have been some of the people where you're like, holy shit, I can't believe they're here?
Oh, Rogan was definitely a really, really cool meet. Jay Moore was really interesting just because I grew up on movies like Suicide Kings and Go, which was huge in the ecstasy days that I think you and I were talking about that at dinner last night of how, rave culture was, or the joke we made of grave culture, but that's between us. Those two were really interesting. Mike Lindell recently, the My Pillow guy, it was just sort of surreal to have that guy sitting next to me.
Was he deranged?
I would say so.
Okay.
And not in a bad, I'd say he was either high on Christ or cocaine.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one. He claims he's a recovering crack addict. He's like, I was very, very soft-spoken when I was on cocaine. I'm like, you were calm on cocaine?
Okay.
You might want to give that a try again. It might have been good for you if you're inventing pillows and speaking softly and carrying a big stick. Maybe that is a good drug for you. I never did drugs and invented anything. Oh, except excuses.
Yeah. And alibis.
Exactly.
Oh, good Lord.
And ways to try to get out of jail or to get drugs in.
So we are out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
The twinkle in your eye as usual.
You are welcome.